Security matter. Everyone wey dey Edo State must get identity card. Obaseki na im talk this one. We ready to close down markets wey no dey register and Okada riders. Committee for anti-grazing law go ready by ending of August and open grazing matter don dey banned since 27th of May. Governor Godwin Obaseki don talk say residents of the 18 local governments for Edo State go soon begin to dey collect ID card to help government do check for security matter. Obaseki talk this one for security meeting with traditional rulers and other stakeholders for Auchi. Obaseki talk say this ID card go dey under the Edo State Resident Identification System and dem go link am to your BVN.
We decided as the State Security Council to visit Edo North and interact with the 6 security councils in the 6 local governments of Edo North Senatorial District. This is a follow-up to the meeting that was held while I was on vacation by the acting governor of the state, the Right Honorable Philip Shaibu. I believe this meeting was held on July 5th this year. And during that meeting, there were several measures that were discussed and decided on. As you are all aware, the greatest challenge facing us as a people today and as a country is security. And you know that the purpose of government is to provide security of lives and property for its citizens. Any government that fails to or is unable to perform that function has no business being in authority. So as a state, we are not unaware of what is going on in the country, but Edo is Edo. Edo existed even before Nigeria. We secured ourselves from time, and we will continue to secure ourselves into the future. But as you know, security is local, and security is everybody's responsibility. But you need to have formal structures to help coordinate security so that it can be effective. Let me quickly remind those of you who were at that meeting of what was agreed. We agreed that for all the decisions we took on July 5th, we must have a mechanism in place to make sure that there's compliance with those decisions we have taken. Because security is not like any other issue in government where you just talk about it and leave it and expect it to happen. In case for security to be effective, you have to monitor compliance on the measures you have taken. And let me remind you of some of those measures. We said we're going to hold expanded stakeholder meetings across the 18 local governments of Edo State. That is why we're here this morning. 2, we said that bush combing and policing of forests and our ungoverned spaces in our various territories must be an ongoing activity. 3rd, that we must relocate squatters in our markets and motor parks. That we should strengthen and provide the necessary logistics and payments for the various vigilante groups that we have set up. That we should reconcile the various factions of the hunter groups and associations in our local governments. That we should identify the black spots and dislodge all squatters from uncompleted buildings so that they don't use uncompleted buildings for residents. That we should register all keke, napebs, and Okada riders and their vehicles in the areas in which they operate. And that we should promulgate and strictly enforce the anti-grazing law. So we're here to find out and also discuss the follow-ups on all these decisions in the various local government areas of Edo North. Driving in this morning from Warake, the number of strange people who I know don't come from here, who I saw on the way, made me worried. Because who has responsibility for them? If anything happens, how do you know? And to inform you that we are launching an Edo State resident identity. Anybody who is resident in Edo State must have an identity card. You cannot sell to any person. You cannot lodge any person in your hotel. You cannot do business without knowing who the person is. So that we know the identity card will be linked to the BVN of everybody. So that we know who is who. And if anything happens, we can follow up. We're not saying we're not saying we will not accept visitors. We're not saying that we want to send people away. But if you live with us, then we must know you. Hoggers, Security Council, we must have the addresses of every market. This idea of markets just erupting without starting somewhere in people's houses, without being registered by the local government, must stop. All such markets will be closed. The law specifies how markets can be set up. Because we have situations now, you just come in, suddenly a place is a market. Nobody knows who is responsible for. We don't even know what is going on there. Then if there's fire tomorrow, people are shouting that we've lost our goods. Meanwhile, we didn't register that place as a market. We haven't provided the facilities like water and all the things you need and the public facilities for people to even trade there. And we then find out that those markets never seem to close. Are markets not supposed to close? Don't they have opening time and closing time? But these markets never close. People live there. And from the investigations we've carried out by the security agencies, all sorts of things happen when those markets are supposed to have closed. So we will have to close all unregistered markets. If you want a place as a market, the local government must now do the things they need to do, register them properly and provide the facilities for them to be run as proper markets.
Obaseki constantly talk say security meeting for every local government must happen once a month and all vigilante for every local government must register with Edo State government.
I understand that the bushcombing exercise has continued and has been successful. However, we have had some incidents. We still have had some incidents since the last meeting. On a monthly basis, in Benin, the State Security Council, we review all the incidents of crime that occur across the state. And there are some areas that still give us grave concern, which we must focus on, particularly Akoko Edo and Esako East. And it is not unreasonable that these areas, these two states, that are very porous and we share long borders with neighboring states, have a higher incidence of crime. So we would like to focus and exactly know what happened. Those kidnappings we've seen in the last 20 days or so, what happened, in which communities and why. And also note that on a monthly basis, the security councils of each local government must meet. It is now compulsory. If we don't get the security council meetings reports, I will disband the security council of that particular local government. And I will query the head of local government administration, and that will have grave consequences. So the security council of every local government must meet. And every incident in that local government for that month must be reported, and we must know what happened and how that issue was dealt with. It is not enough to say somebody was kidnapped and ransom paid, and therefore the matter is over. It cannot be over because they will come back to kidnap again. We must know where it happened, how ransom was paid, who it was paid to, so that we can continue to monitor the groups involved. So the responsibility for security in a particular local government rests on the leadership of the Security Council of that local government. Our traditional rulers have a large role to play. And as was discussed, there is provision in the JAC allocations for the rulers and also the Security Council to undertake security functions in their local government. So, henceforth, if we find incidents, we will ask. If we can't get to the bottom of it, then certain actions will need to be taken. Because the bush combing with the hunters and the security agencies must be a continuous process. Nobody has the right to go and stay in any forest which has not been allocated to him or her. So nobody has any business being in our forests. And anybody we find there must be dislodged. And as you said in the meeting of July 5th and the meetings before that, we must have reports. We must know who is operating where. Because it is not possible for somebody to just come to your house and take a place in your house and begin to stay there without you knowing. If so, then there's a problem with the landlord. So we want to know who is in what space. We've talked about the issue of vigilantes. Vigilantes they've always been with us from time past. It's a part of our traditional security architecture. What we've done is to say we want to integrate that architecture into the state architecture. They are put together by groups and communities and given functions and responsibilities and areas of coverage. People cannot just wake up on their own and say, we want to form our own vigilante. It has to be related and associated to a purpose or a cause. So if a group of markets say we want to now hire people to help us guide, then we must know who they are. We must know what arms they hold. We must know how they are compensated. If a community say we're putting together a group of young men to protect and they are our vigilantes, we should know them. Who is guaranteeing them? Are they fit and proper people? Does the community leader know about them? Once you do, then the local government must register them and let us know. And the police, Army, Air Force, DSS have agreed. They come up with a manual to now train the heads of all of those vigilante groups in our police training school in Benin City. And that training will start by the middle of August. Between the middle of August and the end of August, the trainings must start. So if we have 30 or 50 vigilante groups in Akoko Edo, we want to know the heads of them. We want to know who the local government and the Security Council must give us the details of those groups, and we take the heads of those groups and we go and train them, and so that they can come back and train members of the vigilante groups in their own domain. Any vigilante group that is not registered will be immediately disbanded. And once we know how you are arranged, we now know how those people will now be properly compensated and the type of arms which they are holding and who has licensed those arms. As for black spots and uncompleted buildings, we are currently undertaking an enumeration, but the local governments have to do that. In every street, we must know which houses are completed or uncompleted. And the houses that are not uncompleted, the compounds that are not, where we have uncompleted buildings, nobody must stay there. Because you cannot stay in a house that has not been completed. And the owners of those houses, of those premises, you must also know them. Somebody gave them the land or somebody sold them the land. We are making sure that today, anybody who wants certificate of occupancy, who want to register your land, we do it quickly for you. And we're coming up with a law soon that every community must come and register their land interest. Other issue is transportation. Keke, Napeps, and Okada riders. There are laws in place You just can't wake up in the morning and take a bike and start operating as a bike rider. Somebody must register you. Somebody must know that you operate. So that if there's a problem in that area, in that route, we know who to hold. We have laws in the states, and so the security councils of each local government must put in place a mechanism to make sure that we know those people who are providing transport services, either in the form of keke napeps or Okada, and even taxis.
For open grazing matter, Obaseki come talk say government don ban open grazing since 27th of May and dem go set enforcement committee by the ending of August.
I'm pleased to inform you that Edo State now has an anti-grazing law. And I signed it into law on the 27th of May this year without fanfare, because it is not a political document. It's a document we've put in place to help us deal with a serious issue in the state. And I will just read the objectives of the law briefly. The law is to prohibit open grazing of cattle and any other livestock in Edo State and create designated ranching areas for the rearing and grazing of cattle and other livestock in the state. It is to control and regulate the rearing and grazing of cattle and other livestock in designated ranching areas in Edo State. It is to eliminate conflict between nomadic cattle headers and their agents and the local breeders, owners, communities, farmers, and private individuals and institutions. The law is to eliminate land degradation, air and water pollution, loss of biodiversity, deforestation, and other menaces arising from open grazing. It is to create a conducive environment for large-scale crop production. It is to promote modern techniques in animal husbandry creation of ranching areas. It is to promote job and investment opportunities in cattle and other livestock farming. It is to prevent the destruction of crops, community ponds, and properties by cattle and other livestock owners or their agents who graze openly. It was to prevent, control, and manage the spread of diseases and enhance the high and healthy breed of cattle and other livestock. It will promote international best practices in dairy and beef production. It will reduce the incidence of road accidents caused by open rearing and grazing of livestock. It will promote and enhance the production of high and healthier breeds of livestock. And it will ensure security in the ranching areas and good relationships between headers, owners of cattle, and their local communities and individuals. It will address the security challenges associated with open grazing in Edo State. This law provides that there will be a committee called the Cattle and Livestock Control Committee, which will be constituted before the end of August. And this committee will be chaired by a retired security officer, not below the rank of major in the army or its equivalent in other security agencies, and will be appointed by the governor. It will have a representative of the governor. It will have the state chairman of vigilante groups and 3 vigilante groups representing each senatorial district. It will have government officials, which include the Permanent Secretary, Justice, Agric. It will have a representative of the Commissioner of Police, a representative of the DSS, National Defense, Security and Defense Council, members of the Nigerian Legion. The Secretary will be a council, not below the rank of a council at the State Ministry of Justice. 3 chairmen of the local government councils representing each senatorial district will be members. The managing director of the Edo State Geographical Information Service or his representative will be a member. There will be 1 representative each of the traditional rulers in each, from each 3 senatorial districts. There will be 2 representatives of the registered cattle and livestock farmers association in the state, and 3 community youths will be selected from the 3 senatorial districts to be members. So this committee has been set up to make sure it represents, a wide spectrum of the society. And the committee shall have the power to stipulate the conditions for the operations of cattle and other livestock farming establishments and ownership of personnel, commercial, and general ranching areas.
Commissioner of Police for Edo State, Abutu Yaro, and Brigadier General Sani Abdullahi, when be commander for Brigade Nigerian Army, can talk say security na everybody responsibility. Communities must join body with security agencies to secure their environment.
It's gratifying to know that the government of Edo State has taken security as an article of the first line of action and the front burner in policy analysis. And that's why we're here today. Our being here today is in furtherance to the earlier security consultation convened by the then acting governor some months back. Our thinking was that having gotten a charge from the acting governor then with respect to localizing security and formatting formidable action points in tackling local insecurity. We thought that with the presence of the governor today, we will be able to recall the experiences we have practiced or were put in place with regards to the earlier mandate given to us by the acting governor, which was very specific that as local government chairman, as divisional police officers, as chairman of traditional council, that we should go back to our communities and format local security with our vigilantes and hunters. We thought that coming here today will be an appraisal of how far that task has been conducted. What are the hitches in the implementation? What are the successes? And what are the gray areas that the governor himself can give additional guideline so that what we have started about 5 weeks ago will have a clearer and a stronger input as a way of navigating through the security threats. I am inclined to believe that we have gone past the stage of analyzing what the problem is, that we have already taken effect of practical action by local security formatting and doing the needful for that local security to work better. And I believe that maybe as the discussion goes on, those of us who attended that meeting and went back to our local government areas will still give us a feedback with respect to what has been done then and what we need to do now to make it stronger, so that our discussion will have a more quicker and positive implementation aspect.
A lot has been mentioned with regards security. And when His Excellency started with his remarks, security is not just about boots on the ground. Security is not just about the police, the military, the DSS, other security agencies. Security is about myself and yourself. I think we should have this paradigm shift with regards what security is. Yes, we can't do it alone, but we can do it with you. It's an all-encompassing affair or approach, if I may put it that way, which goes further to stress the essence of community policing. But then it comes with certain guidelines, it comes with certain rules. For instance, vigilantes come together, carry out certain patrols and all. I'm pleased to say here today that my commanding officer, Agenebode, briefs me regularly that when they are going out patrols or clearance operations, they go out with community vigilante groups and hunters, and they bring back results. Yes, that's the way to go. But then it has to be controlled. We can't just allow people take laws into their hands. And this formed the basis on which His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, mentioned the need for training and bringing on board the vigilantes, hunters, to the security network of Edo State. We should also factor in the risks involved in targeting just a particular people. Why am I saying this? Yes, there are Fulanis everywhere. A lot of them you have grown up with, but it doesn't mean all of them are bad. There are the bad ones, and the bad ones must be treated as such. They must be treated as such. But likewise, in every community, we equally have bad elements, not just of a particular tribe or section. But then, me and you, I'm sorry to say, equally have a fault here, because we don't question our work. We are quick to celebrate success, but we fail to question success. Today, I have someone in my community which I know about his background, I know how he's brought up, and tomorrow he's driving a Lexus. Tomorrow he's using a phone beyond his status of life. We just have to put it straight. But then you would see his peers or people around him praising him. Oh boy, you have arrived. You have arrived where? What you should do is to question, how far would this thing? Then the next step, where did you get it from? The next step, go to the closest, maybe your traditional leader or the police post. We suspect this guy. There is no wrong in suspecting anybody. He comes in for questioning. Yes, what he does is legitimate if he can prove where he amassed all that he has amassed. Otherwise, he's forced to face the wrath of the law. So please, we should not just be quick to condemn, but we should be quick to question. Because if we don't have this sense of questioning, honestly, I think we still have a long way to go.
Traditional rulers and other stakeholders constitute mouths for the matter.
I think the challenges, Your Excellency, you have mentioned it. Logistic is very, very key to security. We need some logistic. We need movement. Like we said, there are some areas that it doesn't even need vehicle, but we need some bikes that can go some interiors. Where these people are is not where it's accessible by vehicle, but there are push paths which we really need some bikes, not vehicle this time, that can trace them. They are not people that the vehicle cannot come there. So Akoko Edo is an area that we really have a big challenge. I'm sure that the other time it is the grace of God, Your Excellency, that when the incident happened in Owo, about 5 or 6 buses came into Igara, but by the grace of God, we were able to push them back to where they come from. And last night, we heard that there was a shooting in Owo area. Maybe that is why they tried to cross to our area, but luckily our people didn't sleep. They were able to push them back. So Akoko Edo is a really a border that we need to really put security in place.
Any axis links Ososo, and between Ososo, Okene, you have a lot of these Fulani guys who settle there. And by the time you come in from Oja, between Oja, Okene, Okwela, you still have this set of Fulani guys who normally comes in few months ago, they macheted an Ojaman, a hunter who was coming back from the farm. So these bikes Olokwe has just actually introduced, they are very, very important. Because with the bikes, we can follow the bush path and cross down to any of these camps within Okpela down to Oja, down Ososo. Still from that same axis, you can enter through Uneme Eruru. These are dangerous areas where these people come in, attack people at Ojurami, and flow back. So we'll be very grateful if these bikes can actually be provided.
We have to be proactive. In my place, in Owan local area, we live in a central place where the northerners come in without hindrance. People from the west come in without hindrance. People from the east come in without hindrance. And most times, we have discovered that people we do not want, they come into our places in the midnight where everyone is asleep. We have discovered this, and every effort we have tried to put in place to checkmate this influx of people we do not want in the night has always failed, because most times people are scared to come out in that type of period to challenge them. Again, we find that most houses of Fulanis, because of our land, which is very good for farming, they have infiltrated our community. As I speak to you now, non-natives, I'm sorry to say, are more than the natives in my place. Most especially the houses. Even though, as a community, we have tried to say, let each house document those things in their places. We have tried it, but most occasions, even we have tried to say, the Hausas, the Igbos, the Yorubas, they should bring their names so that we put them in a database so that we can control them. We have always failed in this attempt. I'm glad about what the governor has said, which means we shall have a solution to all these problems. I thank you very much, Mr. Governor, for being proactive, not reactive, because security, like you said, is every person's business.
We thank you because we know that you are ready to assist us. We have hunters and vigilante, other security agencies around Ottawa, where I come from. A lot of them have been playing a lot of things in our locality. And whatever we are asking them to do for us is to make sure that they come and register their names. And I have about 160-something names of houses in Ottawa. And we told them, if there is any strange face they discover, they should let us know. And I know that my security men, the vigilante and the hunters, have been trying their best. All they need is logistics. And just to be able to carry on the function as required by the hunters and the vigilante. I want to thank you for this message.
In the house of Almighty God. And it has braced out the transition, the way human beings should deal with each other. By coming together, be you tribe, nation, different dialect, and so forth and so on, which he has created, they should come together to reason together and praise each other for whatever we are doing, not to despise each other. If we brace into this, we are obviously going into the rig and the gist that Almighty Allah has given us to use to strategize every aspect of affairs in life. security is in the hands of God. If we are oblivious of God, as individual, as a tribe, as a nation, then he leaves you to your whatever area you want to tread. But he has created us and given us intelligence, all the faculties we have, even before we are born. Then we have to discriminate against each other. He never said that. You must come together as one creation by him. Now, how do you do that? That is the question we have to ask ourselves and give some answers. Let me give some answers. Now, we take everybody in our community, and it's the fastest growing community in Nigeria. That is a national awareness. And how do we deal with it? Every tribe, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, every member is representing his people in the Council of Traditional Ruler, Ontario Council, which meets every Sunday. And we work together with the Vigilante, with the hunters, and various other groups, you see, and the age group, to provide succor for our people. We don't have problem with security. Security is based on what you do yourself as a creature of Almighty God to your neighbor. If you forget that you have neighbors who has to be cared for, then he lives here alone with the Satan, and Satan takes over, and your problem is not solved. If you say that the people that God has created, they are enemies, then of course you open yourself to an obvious insecurity.
Our communities are rural, some of them. As you drive these people from some of these urban centers, they move into ungoverned spaces, which are we have a large expanse of ungoverned spaces. We border on Ajakuta, border on Okene, that's Kogi, and Benue from the Agenebo axis. And of course, the security personnel, they are few. They cannot cover the whole Logo. The Logo is large in terms of expanse of land. We may not have a very large population, but they have space that they can easily come into. As we speak now, most of those that were driven, they are in Osaki, around Osaki River. Osaki River between us and the Ajakuta area. And it's like returning some measure of authority to us, which we have just done. And reminding a lot of us of our responsibilities and the need for us to network, even as traditional rulers, which we have been emphasizing. Our whole clan, there is no police post. And I've appealed to at a security meeting, I've always emphasized it, that if this civil defense, I've discussed with the commander, luckily he has agreed that something will be done. Let us have even just 5 civil defense, if not for our vigilantes and hunters. By now, we will not be able to habit that area. They've been very active, but we just need supervision. Let there be a post, even if you cannot give us a police post, from time to time send us a civil defense, because you have a surfeit of them in this urban areas, so rural urban areas, so to say, again about the Okbela. So our area, this is a appeal we have been making. And I just want to also ask a question, sir, because we talked about uncompleted building. Most of our areas, we don't know how we define uncompleted buildings. Whether most of our areas, some people live, those that we know, really. And we have said, these motorcycle riders, I also appeal. The major problem we have is these Okadas, which are not profiled. We have appealed that they be profiled on a regular basis. And we also should know who they are. And the police will assist us. And I thank you most profoundly for emphasizing this monthly meeting of security, this local government security council. And every representative should be in attendance. If we continue on this wavelength, Your Excellency, I'm very sure that most of these problems, and also aligning myself with what Olokbe said, the issue of logistics. The issue of logistics is very, very important. Some of us, the will is there, but the logistics hamper our capacity to enter into the bush and do some of these things. And also, of course, we are aware, plans are in the pipeline. We will be doing our best as far as the vigilante and the hunters are concerned. If the state complements us to a large extent, and the training you have talked about, if they have been trained and they know their limits, And they know that they have to also respect constitutional authority to a large extent. A lot of difference will be made.
Okada issue has a peculiar issue. The border there is just open. There's no control there. All these Fulanis and all these people, they just walk into the town. They just come in like that. When you go to your farm, before you wake up, you see Fulani has settled around your farms. There's nobody to control them. There's no border post. When we go to the, what do they call it? There's a big challenge there. Igbira will not allow an Okulam to pass over. Okulama will not allow Igbira to pass over. It's a big issue there. So we will pray, and I beg the governor, for this one you have come, to kindly look into the issue of that boundary. Our DPO there is here. We witness that every week, there's no week we won't have a quarrel in the boundary there. So I will appeal, please, Governor, try to help us and be sure you mount a very nice security post around the border there, behind the Boas Cement Company.
The Ogbonge people when follow Mr. Governor do this meeting now. Director of SSS, Clara Olika, Commissioner for Local Government Matter, Monday Osaigbovo, Commissioner for Police, Abotu Yaro, and Commander 4 Brigade Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Sani Abdullahi. Omo Aluke Ajakaye, TMC TV News.